Wonder Dynamics has now released a tool that allows you to take footage and turn it into a complete 3D animated scene. Midjourney has a very real competitor with Ideogram. AI is now translating your favorite Christmas songs into new languages, and Canva released some major AI updates in their platform. So huddle up everyone, happy Halloween week. This is your AI film news of the week. We're going to kick things off by talking about Runway Act 1. Of course, last week we talked about the news that it was announced, but it now is available to users inside of Runway. If you're not familiar, the tool essentially allows you to upload video footage of a person acting, and you can composite that onto an image. So it's basically taking the performance from the video, putting it on the image, and animating it in a fairly realistic way. Here's how to use it. To use the tool, all you have to do is go to the Runway website. They have this big button for Act 1 at the very top, and you can go ahead and click Try It Now. So for our example, I am going to use this video footage of me talking inside of the film news just a few weeks ago. So all in all, with this news from Pika, it does seem like there are some select cases where camera movement could hypothetically be better. Okay, so there's the footage that we will be using. I'll go ahead and drag and drop that into our assets folder. Okay, so the footage has uploaded, and you can see down here, they have different images that you can use. You also can upload any image you want. I'm just going to select this super simple kind of animated character here, and you can go ahead and click generate. So it takes just a few minutes to generate your footage. Let's take a look at the result. So all in all, with this news from Pika, it does seem like there are some select cases where camera movement could hypothetically be better with the new Pika 1.5 model. Okay, so as you can see, the model did an okay job at animating. It's obviously not silver screen quality just yet, but for some very fast animation, it did a pretty good job. Now, I should note that it's not going to animate the background. No matter what image you upload, it's only going to animate that character. So if you want any sort of parallaxing in the background, whether it's camera movements or characters walking around, you're going to have to do a VFX compositing process, which is not ideal. But we wanted to do a few other tests here at Curious Refuge. So Jagger on the team put together this driving video.
Look, I'm not angry with you. I'm just really, really hungry.
Okay, so we have that driving video, and we want to put it on this image. Well, here is the result.
Look, I'm not angry with you. I'm just really, really hungry.
And honestly, this one looks pretty good. It's fairly expressive, looks pretty realistic, and I think it did a really good job. We also have this dog version here, and it actually did a good job with the snout and putting in the weight in the way that would be more realistic for an animated character, so not too bad there. So now that we have that footage from Runway Act 1, I wanted to compare that to another tool called Infinity AI. So whereas Runway Act 1 is kind of like that live portrait, you take video footage and put it onto an image, Infinity AI will basically animate the entire character just from the voice alone. So you don't actually need that driving video footage. So to use Infinity AI, it's actually free right now at the time of recording. All you have to do is upload your image. So we'll click Upload Image here, and we will bring in this image. So we'll bring that into Infinity AI, and we'll go over to the Upload Audio button and bring in our audio. And when you're ready to generate the video, go ahead and click Generate Video. So it took a couple minutes to generate our video result. Here is the video.
Look, I'm not angry with you. I'm just really, really hungry.
So that's interesting, right? Like obviously the quality from that tool compared to Runway Act 1, it's really not on the same planet right now. But the fact that it's generating the animation and it's generating the expression just from the words spoken alone is really interesting. And I think it kind of hints at the future of prompt to entertainment. There was also some big news from the team at Wonder Dynamics. So if you're not familiar with Wonder Dynamics, it's a really interesting tool that allows you to take video footage of a character and essentially it will automatically replace that character with an actor. And the cool thing is it also gives you all of the data you need to export it into a 3D application. So the most prominent example of using Wonder Dynamics up to this point was Where the Robots Grow, which was the AI animated feature film that we talked about last week. But they actually had a big piece of news that dropped this week that makes it really interesting for the future of animation. Essentially, now you have the ability to upload video footage and it will create a 3D scene. So not only will you be able to replace the characters, you'll also be able to replace the environment. So it's giving you an all-in-one place to be able to do pre-visualization and allow you to create a really compelling AI film. To use the new feature, all you have to do is go to the Wonder Dynamics website. It goes by Wonder Studio, a little confusing. But all you have to do is go to the Create New Project button, and then over on the end here, we have Animation/Video to 3D Scene. Go ahead and click Continue. And over here, you can upload your video file. I should note that we have assets that you can use to follow along with this video. Just click the link below the video, go over to the Curious Refuge website, and you can download those to follow along. So I have this video footage of these two women. They're just like hanging out and pointing and, you know, may or may not be in a cult. We'll go ahead and take that footage, drag and drop it into the upload video section. And once the video is imported, just drag that video into the canvas here and go ahead and click the next button. So now I'm going to hit scan frame for actors. I should note that this only works with individual clips. You can't like create an entire scene and replace the characters because there are limitations here. So you kind of have to go clip by clip. So go ahead and click scan frame for actors, and it will automatically recognize the actors inside of our scene. So we can just pick a character. I'm going to grab this one called Sandy. We'll drag it on actor number 1 here, and this one named Maria we'll drag onto actor number 2. There are quite a few different assets that you can use directly in Wonder Dynamics. You also have the ability to import your own. It will need to be rigged correctly, but you can go to like Turbo Squid to download a 3D model and use it inside of Wonder Dynamics. So once we are ready with our actors, we'll go to Next. And now it is going to ask for an environment. So we only have a few options right now. We have a city street, or we have an empty environment, which would be helpful for, of course, you know, bringing into a 3D application. I'm going to use city street just so we have some context and we can see this new tool in action. And we'll go ahead and click Next. And now it will ask you all of the details that you would like to be included inside of your render. So I'm going to go ahead and select Blender Scene, but of course, depending on the application and the tool that you use inside of your animation workflow, you can use Unreal Engine, take USD. You also have the ability to export as a Maya scene. It's completely up to you. You also can export information like the camera tracking controls, and you also can export the mocap data, which is really helpful. And for our example here, I'm going to export a preview video that will just give us a preview of what the overall results are going to look like. And you can go ahead and click Start Processing. So I did the same sequence with a few different video clips. Here is the live action footage here. So, you know, it's just kind of a bunch of random clips from a scene of, you know, these two women hanging out together. Obviously, the blocking is terrible. It's not really telling much of a story here. But you can see how these elements together could create a scene. And the result from Wonder Dynamics looks like this. So you can see we have the characters and they're walking around and the camera tracking looks pretty good. They actually look fairly stable too. That's one thing that's really interesting about Wonder Studio. The tracking and the characters, they don't have a lot of jitteriness. That can happen. So you do need to go in and clean up inside of a 3D application if you're going to be exporting this for like silver screen. But more or less, it does a pretty good job. I have to say, I'm really impressed by the dynamics with these characters. It's very clear that this type of tool, when paired inside an animation workflow, can do some amazing things. And speaking of AI animation, I want to let you know that we actually sold out of the beta session of AI animation at Curious Refuge. If you didn't get in, no sweat, you can actually join the waitlist for the next session. But enrollment is open for our other courses. That includes AI filmmaking, AI documentary, and AI advertising. This is already shaping up to be our biggest session ever. And I should note that inside of this session, we are taking a look at some advanced AI topics, including training your own models, creating consistent characters and products, and taking a look at some advanced video features for getting maximum quality from the latest tools. We train artists at every major studio and in 149 countries. We would love to have you inside of the program. In online tool news, the team at Canva has announced Canva Dream Lab, which is essentially giving you the ability to create AI images directly inside of the Canva ecosystem. Now, you have had the ability to create AI images up to this point, but the big news here really comes from an increase in the overall quality of the images that you can create. And I think that's probably because Canva recently acquired Leonardo, and the team at Leonardo was one of the best when it comes to creating AI images. To use the feature, just go to the Dreamlab tab over on Canva's website. We're going to say a family of foxes having a picnic at the beach, select our aspect ratio, and you can see there's all these different presets and styles that you can use. We'll go ahead and click create, and it will create the images. So just like that, we have 4 images that honestly look pretty darn realistic. Honestly, this one looks pretty good. Obviously, there's a little bit of warping maybe around the eyes of some of these foxes, but at a quick glance, I think it did a pretty good job. We can also prompt in a cartoon kid with red hair running from a gigantic spaghetti monster. And we can change this overall concept. Let's change the style to pop art. Yeah, that sounds fun. And go ahead and click create. So we get 4 different images here. I think I like the third one the best. So we'll go with this one. And the cool thing is you're inside of Canva. You can just go ahead and click that use in a design button, or you can download it. We'll go ahead and click use in a design, and it will pop up your Canva canvas here. And they have all of these AI features in their image editor. So if you just go to the edit button with your image selected, under Magic Studio, there's a lot of different just AI features that you can use. For example, we can use Magic Edit to basically do some in-painting here. So let's say that in the corner here, we want to just add something. We can just go ahead and paint in the corner here, just like that. And let's say we want a cartoon kitten in a pop art style. So we'll go ahead and click generate. And we can select any of the renders. I liked this one the best, so now we have a little kitten inside of our scene. I know Canva kind of tends to be relegated into this graphic design, kind of a faster version of Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, but the truth is Canva is increasingly a very real competitor in most creative mediums, whether it is graphic design or video editing or simply creating assets that you can use inside of a campaign. I really feel like Canva is positioning themselves to be a very real competitor across the entire Adobe Creative Suite and not just some specific tools. And for the price, it's a fantastic deal. In image generation news, the team at Ideogram has released a whiteboard style canvas that allows you to create images and edit those images all inside of a dynamic canvas. There are really 2 major tools that you need to know about. The first is a magic fill tool that allows you to take an image and basically do in-painting directly inside of Ideogram. The quality is really, really good. The second is generative expand, and it's basically outpainting. It allows you to expand the edges of your image frame, and you're not bound by specific aspect ratios. You can just grab the edges and expand. So it's really helpful if you need to have more details on the sides of your image. Let me show you how to use these new features. All you have to do is go to the Ideogram website, click on the canvas button on the left, and let's just generate an image here. So let's say 2 elderly friends laughing together, sitting on a bench at sunset. Delightful. Obviously, you can select your aspect ratio. There's a style feature here where you can select your style. We'll do realistic, and we'll turn off magic prompting. And you do have the ability to select color presets. We won't deal with that, and go ahead and click generate. So now let's take this image and extend the edges. Let's say it's too tight and we want something to be wider, because it's a very common problem with AI image generators. They tend to give you like medium shots, like constantly again and again. So in order to do that, just go to the extend button on the left, and it will give you these kind of handles here, and we can just drag them maybe to about there. You can reprompt if you wanted to. I'm not going to. Just go ahead and click extend. And after a few seconds, we generated this image. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job at extending the frame here. The only thing I'm not loving from this image is the fact that that armrest does not look like it was installed in the right place. I think that the person who installed it put it about 6 inches further in than what was necessary. So that's either going to be a very uncomfortable half seat or just some wasted real estate there on that bench. I want to do another quick example here. So let's say that we want to generate an image of an extreme close-up of a woman's eye, hyper realistic. After just a few seconds, we have these results here. And I think I like image number 4 here, so I'll delete the other ones. And you guessed it, let's try to generate her entire face. So let's go to extend, and we'll go ahead and scale this to be much bigger, and go ahead and click extend again. And you can see it generated this image of this woman, and it looks pretty good. Now, I should note that whenever you try to extend too much, things can definitely get wonky. So let's say that we wanted to extend this image to be much larger, maybe about like that. And we want to prompt in, let's say, a woman wearing a crazy party hat. We go ahead and extend that, and you can see that the image that is generated is basically just like a bunch of just like random women. Like, it created a character sheet of a bunch of different women who are kind of the same character, but also kind of not, wearing a party hat. So it's not perfect 100% of the time. Here's a quick example of Ideogram working well. So we have these cats here. We want to turn them into party cats, and there you go. So now they're both wearing party hats and ready for a good time. There was also some news that the team at Haiper released their 2.0 model. Now, I want to see how good this video model actually is, so let's take a look. To use Haiper, all you have to do is go to their website, click create, and select text to video. From here, we can type in a cinematic shot of mermaids swimming underwater, and we'll change this to 4 seconds long and go ahead and click create. And after a few minutes, we have this generation here. I don't think it looks very good, honestly. But you know us, we don't like using text to video. Image to video is much better. So I have this image of a horse here, and I want to animate him inside of Haiper. So all we're going to do is set our first frame in Haiper. Go ahead and select the horse and go ahead and bring him into the Haiper platform. And we'll just prompt in and say a horse splashing around in the water of a lake, and go ahead and create. And again, after a couple minutes, we have this result here. And I guess the water physics are okay, but the horse really begins to break down. It's hyper contrasted, and really just the overall fidelity and quality is not my favorite. So I think after the quick test here, I think the big takeaway is the Haiper 2.0 model is simply not as good as some of the other AI video generators that are out there. Whether we're talking about Luma, Runway, Kling, Minimax, there's a lot of other tools that can generate much better results that you should check out. There's actually a brand new AI video generator that is completely open source. So this tool, unlike the other AI video tools that are out there, allow you to create really compelling videos directly locally on your machine. So you don't have to pay for a bunch of credits or run your videos in the cloud. If you have a decent computer, you could run it on your machine. Now, this tool is in the research phase right now. It's not available or publicly released as an open source tool at this time, but you can test it out. So the tool is called Jinmo Mochi 1, and some of the results from the demo video on their website look really incredible, and some of the better AI video generations that we've seen up to this point. But let's go ahead and put it to the test. So I'm on their website here, and let's use one of their presets for the first example here. So I'm going to say a time lapse of a busy harbor with ships coming and going, cranes moving. The camera captures the rhythm of maritime activities. So it's a very poetic prompt. I don't know if that's like the best prompt but it is the example that they want us to use. So let's go ahead and generate with it. And after a few seconds, we have this video footage here. So I do think there's quite a bit of warping, especially like with the boat. Like you can see that the boat kind of blends into the other boat there, and the cranes just decide to have a mind of their own and like warp together. So it's in no ways perfect, but let's compare that to the same prompt going inside of Runway. So this is the prompt from Runway. So there's something a little off about the Runway generation 2. Like number one, these boats I think are impossibly long. They have way too many shipping containers on them, and the cranes are really behind schedule in the back because I think they're stacked up like 8 sea containers tall, and it just goes on for miles, which is just delightful. But let's take a look at another example from Genmo here. So let's say that we want to create our own prompt here. I'm going to say an underwater shot of sunlight filtering through water, illuminating a coral cave. The camera moves through the space, revealing hidden beauty. So let's go ahead and click generate there. And the result is this footage here. And honestly, it looks pretty good. Like the physics look right. The light from the water at the top looks pretty good. The coral there looks honestly like pretty realistic. I think it's almost reminiscent of maybe like 2008 style GoPros, like early GoPros, but I do think that the quality and the physics look pretty good. But let's go ahead and compare that same prompt inside of Runway, and this is the result we get. And I think this one looks a lot better. Obviously, there are some issues with the physics of the fish there. Some of them kind of disappear and they don't look quite right. But the physics in the water at the top, the coral, the continuity of the 3D objects, it just did a better job. So I don't think that this open source tool, when it releases, is going to be this big viable alternative to tools like Luma, Runway, Kling, Minimax. But I do think that the fact that it is open source is going to open up a lot of possibilities for doing AI video at scale. Right now, you have to use credits to generate most AI videos, and those credits really add up. So using tools like this, you will save a lot of money. In AI research news, the team at Perplexity released their very own native Mac app so that you can use Perplexity without having to go to their website. Now, if you're not familiar with Perplexity, it's actually a tool we talk about inside of our AI documentary course. The thing that makes Perplexity really interesting is the fact that it is an LLM that also integrates citations. So it will tell you where it's sourcing its information, and basically you can trust it more than other AI tools like ChatGPT, which sometimes can just hallucinate and make things up. They also announced that they are releasing a new tool called Spaces that allow you to collaborate on research projects with other people, and you have the ability to pre-train those spaces on specific training sets. So if you're working on a research project, you can upload your research and then work with other people in a collaborative environment. In wild AI art news, an AI artist, like not a person per se, like literally an AI system, has made $300,000 at Sotheby's for the Bato experiment. So if you're not familiar with Bato, it's essentially an AI system that's been around for 3 years, and it's been trained on artist data. Now, unlike other AI image systems that you may use day to day, this system was trained by the artists themselves. So they go in and kind of fine tune their own version of a model, and it creates artwork that other people can consume inside of museums and art exhibits and things like that. So the cool thing about Bato is, like, similar to a human artist, it kind of went through periods where it was generating different styles of art, and the auction house Sotheby's put some of that artwork on auction, and it sold for $300,000. So I think this is one of the first examples of an AI system creating artwork that goes for a lot of money. Now, I don't know what the motivations were behind the person who purchased this, but I imagine that the connection both between the training data and the intentionality of the artist, combined with the experimental nature of Bato, was kind of a unique selling proposition that encouraged them to purchase the artwork. Because it is the very beginning of November, of course, we have to begin talking about Christmas music. And this week, I have a really interesting piece of news that you should know about. So, you know that song, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, the like classic one? It's great, right? Classic Christmas song. But the team at Universal actually wanted that song to be in Spanish. So they teamed up with an AI system, and with Brenda Lee's consent, they actually were able to translate that song into Spanish. Let's listen to a quick example. That's pretty amazing. Like, honestly, you would never really know that that was not her actually singing that song. And what's also really interesting is in the comments inside of YouTube, it says this is the official audio for Noche Buena y Navidad performed by Brenda Lee. So they're saying that it was performed by her and it was just translated using an AI system. So we've seen tools like HeyGen and translators inside of tools like 11 Labs translate voices for filmmaking or for educational purposes. But translating voices in music, that's a pretty interesting approach. And I can imagine that we'll see AI systems that can more easily translate songs into other languages in the very near future. There are a ton of AI filmmaking events popping up around the world. Here are a few that I think you should know about. Number one, we are hosting an AI filmmaking meetup in Los Angeles on November 6th at All Seasons Brewery. We would love to see you there. Now, tickets for that are about to sell out, so be sure to snag your spot if you want to attend the event. We're also hosting an AI filmmaking meetup in West Palm Beach on November 7th. We're hosting an AI filmmaking meetup in Chicago on November 14th. And there is a Runway meetup in Marseille, France on November 8th. So now I'd like to take the time to address something that we talked about in last week's episode. So last week we talked about an amazing AI feature film called Where the Robots Grow. Now, in that video, we said that Where the Robots Grow was the first AI animated feature film. Well, as it turns out, that is not actually the case. And while it is kind of hard to pin down exactly where the first AI feature film and AI animated film came in to be, one of the very first one, if not the very first one, was created by a man named Haru Jackson. And I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk with Haru about his work and what it means to him to be the first to create an animated AI feature film. So you became the first person to ever create a mass-released AI feature film called Window Seat. So first off, congratulations. And second, how long did that take and how did that project come about?
Project came about after about 8 years of working in Hollywood and executive pitches. So I took to AI immediately. I immediately saw the benefits. With the infinity of AI video and performance, I could make any movie I wanted. So I made Window Seat, which is one of my kind of chamber drama films. And it came out beautifully, and I guess it made history.
That's awesome. And where can people check out Window Seat?
Window Seat is on YouTube. It went live on YouTube on July 21st, 2023. I would tell people to give Window Seat a chance from beginning to end. And by the end, there's no doubt you'll have seen the first movie kind of with machine performance, machine acting. Everyone will leave charmed.
That's awesome. And that wasn't your last AI film. Since that time, you actually came out with an animated AI film called Dread Club Vampire's Verdict, and that came out in early July. So can you talk a little bit about that film? How did that one come about, and what was different between that and your first feature film?
My point of view is always to do the next one so people can see with their own eyes how much the technology has grown. So Window Seat, the entire criticisms of it is the uncanny valley machine video performances. And the best way to address that was to do a animated movie and that'll have no uncanny valley.
How important do you think it is for artists to try to be first versus the idea of trying to push into new storytelling endeavors that begin to resonate with audiences or just resonate with them personally?
Well, director Werner Herzog said that this idea to be first is a sickness, that the key isn't to be first, it's to be a visionary. So I read that and I was kind of like, oh, thank you. But it really was a fever dream, an obsession, and it was very personal because of my experience in Hollywood. I want to make sure that the other Huru Jacksons in the future don't need that $1 million windfall to make the movie. They just need their computer. We have a fully animated AI movie I made for $400 on Amazon Prime. I am hoping it can be an inspiration. They go to Amazon, they see it, and they become a filmmaker. And suddenly we have 100 Miyazakis and 100 Pixar animation studios.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's really like a huge part of like what we at Curious Refuge are all about, is getting voices out there that normally weren't able to have a seat at the table because Hollywood is just so selective about the types of people that are invited into that process. So thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the show.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You can check out an extended interview with Haru inside the bonus materials if you're a student at Curious Refuge. Now, I should note that there have been a ton of AI pioneers in the space, and everyone is worth celebrating. Whether it's Haru for some of his early innovations, the T2 remake that was headed up by Nim Perez, who did an amazing job with coordinating a ton of different artists to create an amazing parody film. There have been a ton of biblical films that have come out that have been really long, that basically share Bible stories through narrative film. And of course, Where the Robots Grow is probably one of the very first AI animations to be feature-length that features mocap, scalable 3D workflow environments, high-end in-painting. So all of these films are worth celebrating. And I should just note that this is an amazing time to support each other. Whether you have existing experience inside of Hollywood or you're completely new to the world of storytelling, there are new opportunities opening to you as a result of these incredible innovations. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. So for this week's AI films, I want to shout out the winners of our second annual AI horror film competition. We had almost 500 submissions, making this the most popular AI horror film competition in history. So let's start with the audience favorite by Sylvia Skazix. Congratulations on winning the audience favorite award. Okay, so in third place, we have Water by Danny Tseng. The film is super eerie. Like, he did this kind of found footage experimental video project that really is kind of haunting. And I think he did just an amazing job with developing this world, creating a film that really sticks with you, and, you know, just generally creating a really compelling horror film. In second place, we have G-Pigs by Verena Puhm. Now, this was a collaborative project that wasn't created by just Verena alone, but I think that she directed an amazing project. The film really showcases really high-end filmmaking techniques, whether it's through foreshadowing or just the character development and how things progress. I think that this is one of my favorite AI films that I've seen to date, and I highly recommend checking it out. But that brings us to our number one film of the week, and the winner of first place. I am talking about The Cartoonist by Nicolas Pomte. It's a really spooky film that basically is about this artist that has to put together some manga drawings in time, but he's being stalked by this character, and it's just super creepy. One of the creepier films that I've seen in a while. So Nicolas, you did an amazing job on your project. Of course, you won an awesome cash prize in collaboration with Infinity AI. And I should note that you also have won a cursed potato, so I hope you enjoy that prize. If you want to see a full breakdown of our judges taking a look at the finalists and see the final films for yourself, you can check out our judging video that we dropped just a few days ago. Okay, wow, that was a big update. It was a wild week for AI filmmaking. Of course, if you want to get AI film news sent directly to your inbox, you can subscribe over on Curious Refuge. Just click that blue button in the top right corner, fill out the form, and you will get AI film news sent to your email inbox. We curate even more news than what we're able to talk about inside of this episode, along with job opportunities and incredible things that you should know about. I should note that there was an AI prompting job that popped up at Disney this last week that we included inside of our jobs board. So you would be notified about opportunities like that if you were a part of the email list. And of course, you can like and subscribe here on YouTube to get the latest news and tutorials directly here on this platform. If you would like to join us for the November session of our AI courses, we would love to have you inside of the community. Otherwise, I will see you next week.